today with Nadine. How are you, Nadine?
I'm good. It's cold here, but that's okay. It's part of the winter time here.
Yeah. What is it like living in Canada? Because I've heard it's constantly snowed in during winter and just don't leave the house, basically.
Well, I will say in Quebec precisally because if you go in Vancouver is another case though, but in Quebec is really you have the four season all the time. So you have could have crappy weather a day, the second day could be sunny, the other day could be cool, and the other day could be humid and stuff like this. We have everything.
Right. I want to start talking about the good stuff. Let's start talking about books.
Yeah.
I want to know what inspired you on your writing journey. What gave you the inspiration for your first book, Scotland Lovers?
That was a test. Okay, I'm honest here. Okay, that was the I was wanted to write something for a very, very long time. I think was a little girl at some point. But I didn't know the trope and the how we doing it. So I decided to say, okay, Outlander was very popular at that time when I released it. But I say, wow, not bringing more modern people, more modern women at that place. There could be more shock in between. That was the first thing I was thinking about. But I write it just to make sure how you do your craft, how you do your editing, how you do the cover, to do all cycles regarding books on the smaller scale because those books are pretty small. So that was my inspiration regarding this because they say that okay, we're going to bring somebody, but instead of bringing something in 1940, I'm going to bring somebody in 2015. So who's going to be that girl? How she's going to be? She's going to clash for sure, but that was the fun part of it. So that that's why I did that. That was my test run. I could say like this. And after that, some people hate it, some people love it. So that kind of book is more like you hate it, you love it the way I see about all the reviews and comment that I receive in those years. And some people like it, asking me when the second one, when's the third one, when's the fourth one. So I decided to finish that series with the fourth book. But I say, okay, after that, to finish in the time travel is not my thing because I'm too much regarding sassy girls, badass girls, and stuff like that, which was clashing too much with the historical thing at some point, I will say. And I'm not too much historical, not either. So I was always in the line. So I say, okay, I finish it. I give my reader what they want. Now I move on to another project.
That's so interesting. So what was the appeal for you? Because it is a time traveling series, which is obviously very difficult elements to write for your first book straight away as well, because we can only research. We've never had firsthand what it was like in
Yeah.
Scotland during that time. What was the appeal for you to write about Scotland?
I think it was, but Scotland always one of the country that I want to travel one day, hoping after the COVID period and stuff like that. And always fascinated by the the sceneries and stuff like that. That I say, okay, the men could be more rougher at some points, between Middle Ages, stuff like that, and it's more intriguing to be the alpha male stuff regarding with the kilt and stuff like that. So that's why I decided to start with it. To be honest, I write it in 2000. I publishing in 2015, but I write it in 2014. It took me 18 months to do the first one with only a 10K word. So it's very very small book, but yeah, it took me 18 months to do it.
And did you independently publish?
Yes.
How did you find the process?
To be honest, I didn't understand to begin with, especially, yeah, well, could be publish a book was a publish a book. I was lucky to have Scrivener, which I was able to format my book correctly. I don't say I'm using Vellum now, so it's totally it's the day of light, to be honest. And at some point, it's like I was able to do some kind packages that was okay in my case, the way I see it. And and I would say, okay, I put an editor, even two editor on that because I wasn't sure. So I'm writing my second language, so I have problem with structures and stuff like that. So I need more people to look into it, even though I have some complaint regarding some qualities, stuff like this. Some people, historical wise, I will say they are more not picky, I will say, but they are more in the structure. You need to have a very good English stuff. So yeah, so that's why it is. the marketing, because when you start publishing, especially indie, you have to learn everything, everything. And the trope is, the thing you have to learn your craft. You have to learn how to write, how to format, how to not to do the cover, but to hire the right designer for it, for the genre. And not only that, after how you brand it, how you uh, website, how you do your brand regarding your name, the brand regarding your series, marketing is a big case. So yeah, it took me, I will say, at least 5 years to understand all aspect about it. So that's why I decided to start with a small book, just to make me see where I need to dig and search and learn, and where to find information that I need to do it.
Yeah. And the thing is even after 5 years, I'm sure you're still learning.
Oh
Like
yeah,
we're all.
always learning. It's crazy. I will say it's always learning.
I want to know, I do have a couple of questions for you. So I noticed
Yep.
that you publish through fiction publication.
Yes.
I'm assuming that is your publishing house?
Yes, it's mine.
Amazing.
It's mine and my other pen name, Raven White, at the begin
Yeah.
with.
Yes, I saw that. And so I was, because I did notice that in your recent books, the more, I'm not going to say modern ones, but the ones that are going for a very different style of genre, you've also teed with Raven White. And so I thought, okay, this is either a co-author or this is a pen name, and we're splitting off because we're branding in two different elements, which is a very, I know some authors choose not to do that, and some authors choose to do that because it's so much easier to market them that way. So was that the main decision as to why you decided to split off into two names?
No, the first reason is that I was probably thinking to write YA at some point in my life. So I would say, okay, if I'm doing more kinky romance type, and sometimes it was more like my mother's side say, don't mingle something is more 18 with undergrade or below 18. But with the time, I saw that I don't have I will say the goal to write YA anymore. I'm staying in the adult world mostly. So I decided to remerge both of them together, because it's very hard to have multiple pen name. Some people does it, which I bow my head, but you have to do a website, you have to do newsletter, you have to do this, and you have to do twice. So it's doubling the work, it's doubling everything. It's a brand, you have to restart everything. So I decided to rebring everything under my name, still say that writing as Raven White, so people know that me and Raven White were the same person.
Amazing. I want to congratulate you, first of all, on you have the beautiful USA Today's bestseller. What book, when did that happen? How did you celebrate? What was the moment like for you?
That was September last year. I was not alone. We were 22 authors. That was a box set. It was at least 9 months of very intense work to work on that. And I will say a full years to say that everything was great. But that bring people together. We were having, I remember that week that we released, and we were trying, and we trying to do this. Okay, I'm going to do Facebook ad. We're going to change that. We're going to do this. And we were all the weekend together online chatting and doing crazy thing, to be honest. And that put people really, even though we're separate, because I have people in US, we have people in Australia and stuff like that. So that bring people together like this to build a project. And some people doesn't like it, some people does. That's okay. For the team that I have at that was the box set called Rose Sky. The team was very awesome. We have a very, very good team. People were on the edge. People was doing the thing, doing the task, doing this and doing that. We're bringing ideas, brainstorming, because it's only one person thing. But the thing is, that was amazing for it. And that's how we were able to do the USA Today. That was in that box set, that was Blood Rebellion that was inside. But that's how the thing we did with that box set. Now I'm trying to do for myself alone, but that's a little bit more complicated.
That's the next goal, striving. But how did you
Yeah.
celebrate? Because that's an
Well,
amazing
basically,
accomplishment.
the whole weekend that what we did, we did, I think, if I remember correctly, that weekend we received during the week. And with my husband, he said, okay, we're going to go to the restaurant. We're going to go to some wine because now you will say to the bestseller author, I say, yeah, that's a step. That's one of the steps that they say, okay, I work hard. We work hard, everybody. We're 22 and people was extraordinary and everything. So we work hard. We're on the edge. We were doing things. We were doing brainstorming ideas and stuff to bring you people new ideas, new books that could give at the same time and things like this, that bring the synergy together, that to be able to have and celebrate the fact that we're having everybody was USA to the author.
That's amazing. Now, I want to talk about one of your books or series, should I say, that really grabbed my eye because it is the genre that I love to read, is the Supernatural Intelligence Agency series. Tell me more. I want to know more about this series.
Well, I would say it's a world, first of all. Everything is based in Montreal, downtown Montreal to be more precise. That will have multiple different kind of series or trilogy inside of that. It is that came from the ideas of what we have as CIA version paranormal thing, what it would be, what was going to be the agency regarding this. And that's became the CIA that I have right now. But at the beginning, when I'm starting to work on that, I didn't have the big vision that I have right now. So I was having a book, Columbine, that time that was in NA, and it was starting to bloom at that time. It was 2016, if I remember correctly. But the genre, the college, the university type was starting to, because there was not a YA, there was not an adult, there wasn't between. So that's what we call the NA. But that changed with over time with academy and things like this that we know as today. But that's how I started. But I removed on buying because I reworked for almost a full year just on my universe. So my book wasn't uh, adjust with the new version, I will say the 2.0 version of that universe, so that I have to rework on this one. So that's why I decided to work on faction. So we have faction, we have the vampire, we have the werewolf, we have the witches, we have the fairies, we have all the demi half demon, half giant, we have every kind of genre of creature that could be there in the same time in the same place.
I love that.
And we have the vampire for sure. Yeah.
Of course, goes without
Of
saying.
course.
Of
Yeah.
course. What's the one behind you? That is your recent one that's coming out soon, isn't it?
Yeah.
January.
January 11. Yeah. That's Stone of Destiny, which is the witches. The witches have multiple different kind of witches, which this one is the witch warrior. Those one are the one who going to have a call from certain magical object. And they have specialties inside of it. And when they have a call is because somebody that's not supposed to have it wants to have it. And they have to go and try to retrieve it and bring it back to the librarian. The librarian is the lady that taking care of all the object that is not supposed to be found right away. So this is the funny part, because my librarian is a new girl too. So she doesn't want to stay in the library. She wants to go out and live. So she have a bodyguard about it, which is supposed to be a werewolf. It should be in Syria at the end for that. But I'm not working on that yet. But that's one of the ideas about it. Yeah.
I want to know, what is your writing practice? Do you have any specific rituals, or you have to be in a certain spot?
Well, at the beginning, I was working downtown Montreal. So I have to travel by train, which is a 4-minute drive through to go and to go back. So I was sitting on my butt on the chair doing nothing. So I bring my laptop and I start to write. That's how I started. Because I think the beginning when you start to write is to find the moment you need to. Now I can do it, even though my kid is older. Also, this is different too. When you have smaller kids, could be a little bit different. But at that time, I didn't have nobody, no phone, no internet, nothing, because I was in the train. So I was really focused only to write. That was only that. So that's how the thing. I was doing that in the morning and I was doing that at night. So that's how I started that. I think the first step is to start to write. And after that, you're going to find your trick. I need music. That's one thing I need. And my music is going to be my mood, is going to be my emotion regarding my writing. If in actions, I'm going to listen more of a metal thing, or thing that you have more scenes, like you see that is chasing somebody else, or soundtrack that could help me to trigger emotion that I saw a movie about it that could trigger the emotion that I need to work with. That's how I play. That's how I'm doing right now. But at the beginning, I think it's very important to have the schedule. So you put an appointment with yourself. Even before that, I was waking up earlier to start to write without everybody being there, just to be me, myself, and my computer.
What would you say that your greatest challenge has been in your writing career, and then your largest accomplishment as well?
Well, I would say that was the language barrier at some point. Even almost made me discouraged at some point about it, even though I was paying editor to edit my stuff. That was one of the greatest challenge. Now I have more my own formula, if you want me to say like this. I have somebody who's doing the restructure of my doing is without doing the inside deep content stuff, which another one's going to do my deep, and I have a proofreader. So I have 3 steps now. Which is totally different when I start with. But when you start, you don't have the network, you don't know nobody, you're starting, you're a little bit by yourself. So that could be discouraged. I will say the other accomplishment without the USA Today is I'm able to have my publishing house now. That's one of the steps. I didn't think about it at one point, but it is one of the steps that getting toward what I want to be part in libraries instead of just to be an Amazon platform or a Kobo platform, whatever it is. That's the way I see it. I think to have the accessibilities regarding the libraries, that's one thing. And which thing is different for the French, especially in Quebec versus the rest of Canada, is that the library doesn't buy a lot of books. They borrow it. Okay, they borrow it, and for the thing they not sell, they ship you back. That's the thing, and the thing work in the French libraries. So they know with either ISBN thing, the first 3 numbers, 978 something dash. Usually you have 1 because you're publishing in English version, which means for them, they will have to buy your book in order to sell in the library. It doesn't want that. So I have a 2 instead of a 1. So that's say I'm a French editor. So that means it can borrow the book, try to sell it and ship me back. So it's almost less, I will say, less stress for them to sell books or have some sales and stuff like that. That's the thing is different. So that's why I switch in French, in Quebec especially. And that's why I create fiction publication. So I'm going to have leverage regarding the library here and even in the US or everywhere is in English. Is not a problem now. I can even sell in France, and they are the same principle. I think it's the language. The language in French, people have the French thing is more like the borrowing system instead of buying a lot of book.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, like, I think a lot of people don't realize how much effort goes into behind the scenes as well. Like, it's not easy, but it's a lot more easier for us to put something up on ebook or Kindle. But then when you're trying to do distribution, actual paperback wide distribution, it's very tricky because, especially as an independently published author, because there are so many loopholes that you have to go through. There's so many there's already systems in place that we aren't aware of, and we can't just go into a library and say, hey, do you want my book? Because it doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't. Sometimes you have distributors, you have the libraries, you have the editor, and at some point, the other reason that I create fiction publication is that a lot of people, my friends, they are in the author in English, and every time they see, oh, you speak French, can you translate? I say, no, I can translate, but I don't want to translate. Because that, how are you going to brand it? How are you going to sell it? How are you going to do a Facebook ad if you don't know French? And they all like this because they don't know, because it's totally a different genre, not genre, but readership also. The French cover is different. Sometimes some of them are pretty close to it, which is the English version about it, but some of them are pretty totally different. So that you need to check on that too. So that means you're more toward to your readers regarding of their the place they live with. I will say Quebec is very closer for the Americans one, so we have more the tendency, which is okay. But I know in France, it's different. So that's the way I see it. So in the same time, I would say, why not sell your rights to somebody? Because that means you're going to have royalties. You're not going to have the whole of it, but you're not going to have the stress to pay a translator and to pay somebody to put your publicity or Facebook ad, whatever you want to call it. And some people starting to say, okay, yeah, I see where you're going. Yeah, because you have to check that, because every book that you have, every product that you have, whether it's a ebook, paper version, hard copy, because hard copy is apparently starting to be big right now. A lot of people trying to find hard copy. It's starting to be a trend. Audiobook. You can have comic books. You can have coloring books. That came from the same book. It's all different kind of product, but you multiply by the language. After that, that's how much product you can have with one story. So some people doesn't think like this, and that's also could go to, especially I'm doing urban fantasy, so I can probably reach out for a comic book person and do a comic book in that universe. So that person, they have the right about it. I have the right, but smaller gap because they have more, work to do with the graphics and stuff like that. But that's another thing you can do. You can do everything you want. Only that you can decide sell your cup. You can decide sell a lot of swag that could be sell also, not only to give, but it could be sells. A bag or something like this. That's some stuff that could be on the other side. That became of the brand, and that's when you start to be an author. When you start, that's not something you think.
No.
You learn that in 4 or 5 years of being inside of it, because that became a business.
Yeah.
And some people have difficulty between say, yeah, I'm an artist, I'm an author. Yeah, but you're a business also.
Yeah.
You have two hat me,
And you make such a good point too about the marketing aspect as well, in regards to, like friends approaching you saying, oh, can you translate this for me? And it sounds like really simple and easy, but no, you're correct in that way, because, and even if people, for example, I've been testing out AMS ads in different countries. So I've been doing specifically like France and Germany. And I've been surprised by, once you start analyzing the data properly, and you compare it to America or Australia, you start noticing trends, and you start noticing what the audience gravitates more towards. And I find it absolutely fascinating, because here you have this one sole product. It is the same for all of them, but there is a minority that will come towards it, and I think it would be reckless in a way to create different products for different countries or whatever it may be if you don't have a marketing plan already thought of for it, because then it's great you created another product, but it will stagnate there if you don't have any idea on how you're going to properly and profitably push that.
True, because if you sell the rights, if we think about the selling rights, yeah, true, you're probably going to have 5-10% of royalties on that. But that's 5% royalties that you didn't have before.
Yeah.
So you didn't have it. You didn't have the opportunity. Maybe even though you put the translation and you put everything there, could maybe not bring money either.
Mm.
I will say that's more less a free risk for the authors, meaning that he have his story. He's not the one that's doing the translation. He's not the one that's doing the correction. You have to use the proper publishing house about it. That you need to do your due diligence about it. But I will say after that, that's the publishing house to do the, the covers, the to take it out with the brand. They have to stay in a certain brand, especially if you deal with it, because this is contract. A lot of people say, "Oh, I have a contract. I'm giving you everything." No, this is your baby. This is your thing. And some people, especially in English, especially if they have a deal, they're going to sell the right in English, but they're not going to sell the right in English in US, which you can't. You can. I can sell my rights to in France to another publishing house, even though I'm French speaking, because they know more of the market because they're on site. The same way I can do Canadian French better probably than the French one because of that. That's one of the reasons the big house like Harlequin or Random House, they have places, whether it's in Quebec, in France, in Canada in general, because they know the market is different. And with the ISBN, publisher also change. So that means that if they want to have access to the French one, they need to have a publishing house with the French and with the ISBN publisher regarding of the right country. So that's the way it's working. So a lot of people doesn't know about it, but I will say that's the big, I think it's one of the big change that I learned this year. This year I learned about it. I didn't know about it. In That's one thing that when you see that, it could be everything. You can decide to sell your rights for a paper version in Japan. So only the Japan people are going to have the paper version that came from that house. But you can still say, okay, I'm going to keep the ebook one, or I'm going to sell to somebody else. That's how much you can, put section in your thing. Each product is marketable and sellable to different kind of languages. Not say, okay, I'm selling all my right in English. I think you've been a mistake, because UK is different, Australia is different, US is different, Canadian is different, and you have other place also. So I will say, to be more precise, you're selling your right in English, US,
yeah,
an ebook or paper version.
yeah.
You can decide only to sell your right for paper version and keep your ebook thing.
And I think too, because this knowledge isn't necessarily accessible to us, or we're
True.
so constantly trying to be on the ball game as to how we can make money now in our, for example, English-speaking countries, that we can't really see past that because we're so fixated on this one thing and making it work right, that we don't realize how wide and how big it could actually be.
That all became different bucket.
Yeah.
And those bucket could be sold to somebody else. That's the way you have to see it.
My next question was going to be, what was the most surprising you found in the publishing industry?
Yeah, it's the publishing industry. It's really in the publishing house. The thing that I learned this year, I was super lucky to find a lady here in Quebec teaching me how to do a publishing house here, and how to do distribution. So that's one thing you need to learn, the trope and thing like this. But yeah, that's one part. And she made me realize that your own product, one product, could be so much more. It's more like it's more like a squid, stuff like that. You have some branches and everywhere you could have it. You can sell rights for a series, Netflix, Passion Flix, whatever it is. It could be on top of that with this.
I want to know what your 3 top marketing tips are.
I always say that the next book selling the other one. A lot of people think that putting a lot of money of Facebook ad, IMS ad, it's the trick. It could be, but I will say the next book is always selling the prior one, especially in a series. We have a lot of proof everywhere that every time you have a series, or you tend to have a series, people will go to the first one, try to buy it until they have the last one. Which, even though I'm a reader at one point, I'm doing like this when I find an author and she have a series, I'm the last one because I just see it and she have 10 books. I'm going to buy the 10. That's how the thing it is. So I know that readers like this. That's the first thing. Second of all, marketing wise, I will say work on your brand. work on people can recognize your covers, recognize this is you. It's a big job. A lot of people say brand, 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 brand. Say, yeah, brand. Branding is important because you will see in my banners, my vampire series, the first one, they are brand perfectly almost identical, which my witches are very close to it. But altogether, you can see it's the same universe in some kind of. That's the way it is. It's for sure when you start it, it's hard to brand your name, but you need to brand your name, not only your series. You have to do both. That's one thing. The other three is learn. You have a lot of things in the digital world now on the internet. Marketer that putting trick-or-treat stuff, you can use it, try it and test it. Test it, say to you, okay, I'm putting that period, I'm going to do AMS. Fine, what it is, fine, verify, do your spreadsheets and do your things. So, okay, this is working, this is not working, what is not working, and try to understand what is happening. And you have a lot of YouTube thing that it is, you can, of course, you have courses too, but I will say you need to invest in yourself, because somebody somewhere on the internet say that, I don't remember who, you want reader to invest in you, but you need to invest in yourself in order to give your reader what you want. That's the shame about it. And they always say that the writer that is successful is the writer that never give up. So that came from the stubbornness at some point. So yeah, so it's hard because you put your heart and soul about it, and somebody's gonna slap you, put you 1 star, say this is disgusting. I know it's hard. We're a human being. We want to, please everyone. Is impossible. Me, what I'm saying to my head, okay, that person was not part of my readership. She was not the right person to be in my readership, and I don't want her to be in my readership. To be more constructive, you have issues there, you have plot hole there, fine, that's something you can fix. But just say this is sucks, this is awful, and nothing, or just put 1 star with no review. I don't check it anymore, because it's not worth it. You can put your positive energy in your book instead to try to please everybody. So that's the way I see it.
I agree with that. And that is one of the biggest hurdles that most authors come over, is not taking it personally. And we talk about that a lot on here, is making sure that we embrace it as constructive criticism. And if it is not, then don't worry about it. That is that person's opinion. And a lot of the time, it's not even a valid, well, everyone's opinion is valid. But I can assure you, I've had heaps of 1 stars. And I know for a fact the person hasn't even read the book. So be aware that there are nasty people out there like that as well. So if it's not constructive, then leave it as it is. What are you working on at the moment?
I'm rewriting what it was called Online in that coming Elemental Ascension, which is going to be my Paranormal University series inside of ACIA Well.
Okay.
That's the way it is. And I have a place. It's been a book that I write in 2016, so I have a lot of work to do, but I'm working on that. I'm releasing Juniper, The Stone of Destiny, January 11, 2021. That will be a trilogy. So the second book could be out at the end of 2021. It's going to be The Stone of Thunder. So she's a stone related witch warrior, but we're going to understand that they have different kind of it. It could be a weapon, it could be books, it could be jewelries. You have a lot of different kind of magic object. They have all their specialties. So that's the thing is working. And I'm starting to think maybe to have more traditional witch with cats and stuff like that in society. So I have plenty of space to work with because my wall is very open, which I can do anything. Casey, she's a day walker. She's part of the faction of the vampires, but she's more like the police at that faction. So she's the one who tried to grab a rogue vampire that doing in the edge of it. And the downtown Montreal, this is what we call the neutral zone. It's like meaning that every species could be in the same place, which usually faction is more territory and no other species going there. So that's the way it's set it up right now. That could change. And now we see the fairies in Juniper. We're going to see the fairy ones because we're going to have a fairy there. And we're going to see another thing. I'm not saying, but just it's going to be another species shifter, which is going to be good.
That's amazing.
That's an open world. So that's the fun part about it.
This is always my favorite question to ask. What is your goal? What is your dream as an author? What are you chasing?
I'm chasing to be doing that full time. That's one thing. To be able to work on my publishing house full time because I'm still working like in accounting, and that's my goal. That's for sure. I wish to hit the USA Today or the New York Times bestsellers, but that will be my second grade goal. My really first goal is really to be independent and to live on it, to do the writing.
Well, I'm sure it won't be too long. I mean, 2021 is the year.
Yes, it's going to be a big blast in 2021 because I'm releasing 2 books. One is going to be Stone of Destiny, and one is The Hacker, which is the second book with the Raven White in the Mercenary series. So that's the 2 book is going to be out. And I'm working to rework on my Paranormal University, which I have the cover for the first 3 of them. So I'm anxious to put that there. So that will be a fun part about it.
All right. I have some rapid fire release questions. So, number 1, if you could be any supernatural creature, what would you be and why?
I would say a witch.
Ooh.
Because especially, I would say a mix between the traditional witches and the witch warrior thing, because that's a fun part to be able to kick ass to somebody. Magically is better. I would say it's more harder. But the thing I love the fact with the creature that you have, you can see things, create things. You can click in the blink in the eyes and your laundry is done and blah, 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 thing like this. So yeah, I will say witch. I will play.
What is your favorite mythological creature?
Oh my God, I have a lot. I don't want to mix it up those pieces because sometimes it could be because you have the Greek and you have the other part I would say Diane the Huntress at one point with the arc and stuff like that. Yeah, that will be probably one of my favorite.
Oh, what song best describes you?
Depend on my mood. I would say that depend on my mood. I would say I'm a mix up between heavy metal, soundtrack, kinky, and pops. I will say, yeah.
What is something you absolutely cannot stand? A certain chore, a certain food, a certain song?
I will say, before I was a writer, doing the laundry and the dishes was the worst case scenario for me because it's always getting back to it every time 3 times every day. It's like it's never ending. It's like waking up every morning, you have to do it, but now I'm using that to brainstorm. So because physically I'm doing something, but my brain is not there. So that releases my muse. And at the same time, I'm able to brainstorm in the world. Well, if that happened to that, okay, this is that. Oh, what? Okay. Then I'm doing dishes. So I don't need to concentrate my head doing dishes because my body have a memories doing thing. So I would say before that, yes, that's something I was hating to be doing. But now I'm starting to learn because my husband say, okay, she's speaking herself. She's doing brainstorming. It doesn't come to me. Say, okay, bye. Say, fine. Keep it in my world. That's how it is. So yeah, it's because I'm speaking aloud to myself. And at the same time, it's like, I need to do that. I need to walk and do things physically so my brain can be released and doing things differently inside of the head.
I love that. Mine is when I'm walking, because same thing. You just kind of switch off. You're doing your thing, and you come back. You're like, oh, look at that. What have you broken any bones?
No, I broke the thing though, but not bones.
Okay.
I broke my meniscus in my knees.
Oh.
Yeah. I broke my shoulder here, my the thing that we have the stripe in between here and there. So yeah, not broken. I just stretched it, but my meniscus in my knee. Yeah, I was doing taekwondo, so it's broke. So I had to have a surgery for it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's
Well,
fine now. We don't need that, but like I say, it's not there. I don't have suspension on the left side of my knees anymore.
goodness. What, that was actually a really terrible question to ask at the end because I was like really down, and I was like, oh, maybe, maybe not that one next time.
It's okay. No, I didn't break any bones. No.
No offense. Dan, I love it. Well, that's all my questions. Thank you so much for answering them all. Do you have anything else you want to say to the audience, or
I would say for those who want to write, write. Don't stick with people think about you. Yeah. Write it. Be stubborn enough to stand for yourself and write it. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Nadine, and I will speak to you soon.
Yeah, for sure. Happy.
Bye.
Bye.